You're listening to On the Job with PORAC, hosted by PORAC President Brian Marvel and Vice President Damon Kurtz. On the Job with PORAC is your go-to podcast for insights into the challenges and opportunities facing law enforcement professionals here in California and across the nation. Our goal is to provide an inside look at these issues from the perspective of officers who risk their lives to protect and serve their communities.
Today we have Juan Viramontes, President of the California Peace Officers Memorial and also President of the Association of Orange County Deputy Sheriffs. Along with us is Mark Nichols, Executive Director of the California Peace Officers Memorial and a retired sergeant from the Santa Ana Police Department. Well, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things that we've tried to focus on and happens every year is the Police Memorial. Obviously, everybody at their local counties and local agencies have the memorial, and California has a great memorial, and I know it's been around for quite a while. And then we have Police Week in Washington, D.C. I know you try to stress it. We try to stress it to make sure that folks get up to the memorial. So really happy to have you on board to talk about our memorial here in California and how important it is. I guess the first question would be, who thought of the memorial? Who thought of creating a memorial? Where did it come from? I don't know if, Mark, you want to take that?
Yeah. Well, back in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th, National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and that week, National Police Week. And so that kind of gave the nexus for the states to start thinking about what they wanted to do for their own state. In 76, a small group of peace officers sponsored a state resolution, Senate resolution through Senator Robert Presley, and it was signed by Governor Jerry Brown that, creating a Peace Officers Memorial in California. And then in 77, the group of peace officers started raising the money, and we came up with a book of names. And that's a large leather-bound book that has the names of every peace officer ever killed in the line of duty in California. It's displayed in the Capitol for during the year, and then we bring it out to the ceremony for the enrollment ceremony when names from the previous year and past are then enrolled.
How long did it take them to, and I don't know if you know this or not, but to raise the funds necessary for, I'm assuming, what is the original monument there?
Well, the original part of the monument took about 10 years from when they had the Book of Names. And then after that, they came back in 85. They ran another state resolution that came through Senator Presley again, and Governor Deukmejian signed it. And then they went about trying to raise the money. And they took them about 3 years to raise the money for the original portion of the monument. And we went everywhere we could, talked to everybody. At one point, I talked to some of the original commissioners around that, saying that we even had a little coin box that sat on the top of 7-Eleven registers. So after 3 years, we were able to get enough money to build that first bronze monument.
So now we have the first monument back in the early 80s, and here we are, 2024, and there was a new addition added. Can you talk about that?
On May 1st, 2022, the Honor Guard, they dedicated a statue. It's the Honor Guard on Benedy, placed on the round planter right in the center of the monument. That was a great addition. Obviously, most people that come here, that's the first thing they look at, because it is pretty great, and it is it leaves an impression on you.
Yeah, and it's a female officer to go with the male officers that are on the original monument.
That's correct. The original monument had an 1880s county sheriff, a 1930s state traffic officer, and then a city patrolman of the 1980s. So the next progression was to have that honor guard, a female officer, that we dedicated in May of 2022.
I know there was a lot of discussion during that time, and it's one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you have pieces coming together saying, hey, this year it would be great to honor females, because obviously in our profession we do have many females and they weren't represented up there.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the ceremony itself? So I know it's 2 days long here. You go to D.C., it's literally as a full week worth of activities. So let's talk about the 2 days here in California and what that looks like.
Okay, well, obviously the National is second week, so it wouldn't get in the way of the national. California decided to do it on the first week. This year it's May 5th, candlelight vigils, 8:30 that night, and then the following morning is the enrollment ceremony. So it would be on the 6th, and that starts at about 8:30. In between, you have meetings with many people, cops groups, also the current families and other officers that are all involved in getting everything set. But it's 2 days, but it's really the whole year. Obviously, you sit on the director's board, so you understand how, from the start to the finish, it's not, a one-day cleans it all kind of deal. It's meeting after discussion, after, even from the smallest details, from lighting to getting permits. I mean, it's a huge task.
Yeah, like you said, being a board member, I mean, as soon as the ceremony's over, the next board meeting we have at CPOMF is planning next year's event. And a tremendous amount of work goes into making sure that runs smoothly. Last year I was an honored officer. One of the officers from my department, he was injured or in the line of duty a long time ago, and he passed away. And working with the family on that is it's just incredible to see how much detail was put in. Just being part of the honored family, it was so smooth. Everything went off without a hitch. It was just fantastic to be able to see the inner workings of it versus somebody who's out watching it. Yes. The fact that everything was accounted for. All the details were there, everything. I mean, down to the times. Line up here, we're walking here, we got to be here. You've got the speakers. Let's talk a little bit about the speakers. So for the Candlelight Vigil, who do you have as a keynote speaker for that event?
We have Sheriff Chad Bianco, who last year did the enrollment ceremony. He'll be doing the Candlelight Vigil this year. He did lose another officer this year, so he will be up there with, talking about, his experience and hopefully what this means to him and everybody else, what it should mean to them.
Yeah, I think the candlelight is really it's really moving. I find it to be exceptionally well done too, in a sense that we're all coming together. The families are there. The members were getting ready for the enrollment tomorrow, the following day. I just think there's a lot of camaraderie and energy there.
I would agree.
Event.
The Candlelight Vigil, both here and even the one in DC, for me, it's different, right? Obviously, the enrollment ceremony is much more structured, which is, you need it to have that in your uniform, and so it's a little bit different process. But, the Candlelight Vigil, you're obviously there in plain clothes, and you get to hear people kind of speak from their heart and a little less choreographed. And so for me, I to say I enjoyed it, I don't know if it's the right terminology, but of the events, it's the one that I guess I look forward to of the event. I guess that makes sense. I mean, I do. The Candlelight Vigil for me is it's very moving.
Yeah, and it is kind of a reunion. When we all come together, yes. We talk to survivors. That from the past years, the immediate years, they're still kind of in a fog, and it may have been from the beginning of the year. They're still in a fog for a while, but past survivors come back and they talk about how meaningful the ceremonies are, the candlelight and the enrollment, because it showed them the California Peace Officers Memorial family, the California Peace Officer family, and the support they got helped them through this difficult time. So it is a reunion to come back, in a sense, to honor our profession, and to help our survivors, realize that how important it is to our profession that we honor the heroes that have fallen, the people that we've worked side by side with.
Definitely provides a sense of community, because I know with all of us in here, when you first came on in your own department, they always talked about once you pin the badge on, you're part of a family.
Yeah.
And I really think the memorial really brings the family together. And I know we try to stress the importance of getting more people to attend, because, maybe your agency lost an officer, so of course there's going to be, a lot of folks from that agency are going to attend, but as the years progress, you see less and less of them. But the reality is, the memorial here, your local memorial, the state memorial, the national memorial, that's a time for us to come together as a profession, as a family, like we call each other. We're a family, a community, to honor and memorialize that family who lost somebody, and providing them the support, saying, hey, you know what? Your loved one died in the line of duty, but we're going to be here for you. We're going to always remember you and make sure that they're never going to be forgotten, because it's a huge sacrifice when an officer is killed in the line of duty.
I think during that time, law enforcement obviously we're type A personalities, so we all have different interests, different membership and all that good stuff. But that memorial, it's different. We don't see each other as belonging here, belonging there. We all belong together, and it's a nice thing to see. It's a nice thing to see with the families, because the families that you do hear about here in California, sometimes they can get lost in the shuffle up in the national, but in the local, every name that comes up, you're going to know, and you're going to see the family. And like I said, it's important for all of us to, put our arms around them, let them know that we're here, that, next year, they're still going to be part of the family. I think that's one of the things that the memorial does very well is the outreach to not just the wife or husband, mother, father. It's to everybody. We're all trying to do one thing, and that's make sure we honor the life of the person that was sacrificed for all Californians.
With that said, events like this and the memorial, they require funds to maintain. We don't have the ability to print money like the federal government does. So why don't we talk a little bit about the fundraising component that the memorial is actively involved in?
Yeah, one of the things that when we talk to people looking for sponsors and those things that they're not aware of is the fact that the Peace Officer Memorial Foundation, we underwrite the cost of that memorial. There's no taxpayer money coming in to pay for the memorial. We pull the permits. We do pay for all the things that are done to put the ceremony on, to record the ceremony, in that nature. The host hotel we contract with so that the survivors come up and we pay for the rooms and everything else. It's quite an undertaking. So we come out and we ask for corporate sponsors, and we have quite a few that have come in, and some of them obviously come in more than others, and we have some platinum sponsors and so forth. The entire board of directors, their associations, all are sponsors. PORAC's a big sponsor. As always, the luncheon sponsor after the ceremony. We really appreciate that. And we have the state tax checkoff. Some people don't realize that on the state income tax, there's a box that you can check off to donate to the California Peace Officers Memorial Foundation, and you can write down an amount that you would like to send our way. We have a peace officer payroll program that is starting to take hold, and we've got probably 6, 8, 9 organizations that allow donations, contributions through payroll deductions, either administered by their employer or by the association union that represents them. And that's taken off where peace officers can directly contribute there. We also, allow for donates and contributions directly to send to us at the CPOMF 640 Burkett Road, Sacramento, California, 95811. You want to send us a check, send us there. We'll process it. And you can donate online via PayPal as well. So those are some of the ways that you can help sponsor or donate or contribute to this, because like we say, it's completely run on contributions. We're a charitable organization under the IRS 501c3. So it's all tax deductible, and that's a good thing, as it should be. And most of our contributions come from the law enforcement community or law enforcement related community, which is one of the things that we always have prided ourselves on is we take care of our own interagency interactions, whether it's just going to a simple call and your follow-up officer. We're always there. We back up each other, and this is just another way that we do that.
Yeah, the payroll program is really important, and I know you've sort of stressed that as the incoming executive director that's been there for a little bit now. You're willing to come out and talk to folks. I know Juan's doing the same thing. So if you're an association or somebody affiliated with an agency and you want the California Memorial to come out and talk so they can do that payroll deduction get a hold of the Cal Memorial, and they'll be happy to help you out and set that up, because that auto deductions, once you start it and it's being taken out, people don't really miss it.
My opinion is it should be part of your orientation. You come out of the academy and you're going through your orientation and you're signing up for all your insurances and all the stuff that you need. That should be one of them. It could be a small donation, and it goes a long way. Like we all have our own benevolent funds with our organizations, and you might think that a couple dollars doesn't do much, but a little bit, when it groups with everybody, goes a long way. And I think we owe it to these folks that we take care of them.
I think part of the issue has been that the outreach. How do we communicate? Obviously, as we're going on through law enforcement, before we had newspaper, everybody read a newspaper. Now everybody does things on their phones, on their iPads, on Twitter, and everything else. And obviously, we're at that point where we do have a lot of younger people on the board, and they are very familiar. Part of the reason that we're on here today is obviously Brian wanted to get us out here to try to help us out, because he is the foundation himself. We're all the foundation, and that's one of the things that's most important, is for all of us to put some skin in the game. PORAC always comes through, every year, they're consistent, they know the importance, and they keep donating, and we're hoping that other departments see the same way and see the leaders of the law enforcement and start pushing towards that direction, trying to take care of our own.
So with obviously, the collecting donations, fundraising, super important. We get the funds. You underwrite the memorial, which is obviously first and foremost in our minds when it comes to the funds that we do receive. But there's a scholarship program. There's immediate assistance. Why don't we talk a little bit about the scholarship program so we can start spreading the word on that?
Yeah, the scholarship is available for all surviving family members of a peace officer killed in line of duty that's enrolled on the monument. And that means the spouse, the children, stepchildren, adopted children. And so we provide up to 6 annual scholarships, up to $5,000 a year. But the thing that we also do, it's for accredited trade schools, 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, graduate programs. The idea is to, provide assistance for the family members, be it the spouse or the children, to be able to go on and, move forward with their life, to be able to go out and take care of themselves successfully in the end. We're very proud of our scholarship program. To date, we've given out well over $1 million in scholarships to our surviving family members.
What about the immediate support for families? What does that look like?
Okay, it's in the past, obviously, there's always been a set amount, and that gets voted on by the directors. This year, it's an immediate relief for the family of, $10,000. That's what the directors felt that we could afford at the time. Obviously, we want that monies to always continue to go up, but that's going to be hand delivered by somebody from the foundation. Not to try to score points, but more to, have a relationship with the family, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important, is connecting with the people, especially, people that are in need and have 1,000 questions. You might not be able to answer them all, but at least they're going to use you as a point of reference anytime they need something. And it's a great honor to at times have the ability to go and talk to them directly.
Brian, if I can add to that, it is an honor, extreme honor. And one of the things was that when I was president, usually it's the president will contact the association of the officer and coordinate with them to the family. We don't want to go too fast, but fast enough. But I remember oftentimes sitting in the living rooms or the kitchens, meeting with the surviving spouse, and I don't even know if they remember we're there, because there's so much going on. A lot of families are young. There's a lot of do-it-yourself projects that still need to be finished in the house. And I've had, some of the surviving wives that are worried about the children don't have the appropriate clothes to go to a ceremony they needed. They've outgrown their old suits, or they need shoes, or they need something, and families coming in, and they got all these other things going on. So we try to get there as quick as we can to give them, a little bit of relief, so they don't have to worry about, money right immediately. There are some funds that we all know come in from the federal, from the other agencies. I know PORAC is a big supporter, after a fallen officer. But we try to get there as quick as we can so that we can give them a little cushion. They had enough to worry about, and that's not what they need to be worrying about, clothes for funerals or, additional family members coming in and the cost of those things. So that's why we set it up that way. And as we all know it's important to the families. Oftentimes they don't remember it till some of the other survivors say, hey, do you remember when they wrote us a check? Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah. But that's not, we do it to help them ease that immediately after losing an officer to help them.
I know the outreach is really important. I know at the last meeting we talked about increasing social media campaign. I've already seen it, trying to push it out ourselves here at PORAC. Really, if you're listening to the show, and we'll have it on our show notes, go to Cal Memorial. Their Facebook page is there. Their Instagram is there. Really try to, if you're in law enforcement, we should be sharing this amongst all of ourselves. Every cop or peace officer in the state of California should be following the Cal Memorial. Puts out a ton of information. I know I can tell you, that, and obviously when this show will be released, it'll be after the memorial, but PORAC is doing a week's worth of billboards in Sacramento about the memorial. So when you're driving around Sacramento, you're going to see 10 to 15 billboards. They're going to talk about the candlelight vigil. They're going to talk about the enrollment ceremony. They're going to highlight the California Peace Officers Memorial. Hopefully we can get some more followers and likes in that area because, you're doing great work, and I appreciate it. I know the families appreciate it. We may never hear the thanks, but none of us are actually doing it for the thanks. We're doing it for them, and it's vitally important. So I really want to thank, Juan for stepping up, being the president, Mark being the executive director of the California Memorial. It's just, it's a work of love, obviously, and for me, it's an honor to actually just sit on the board, to be a part of this, to see the inner workings of how it's done, to make sure that we're honoring these families appropriately, because their spouses or significant others have literally made the ultimate sacrifice. Which is very tragic.
We're gonna get the attendance up. We're gonna reach out to all the departments in every way we can. And if you may not have a fallen officer or it may not be a neighboring agency, it doesn't matter. We want all agencies, to come up, send a few people and show these families, and show the rest that we honor our officers, we honor their families, and we honor our profession.
I know we're always looking for honor guards during the time that they're here because of the rotation of providing the security at the monument. I mean, there's just so much work where they need volunteers. So if you want to volunteer your time and you're with an agency, get a hold of the memorial.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody should try to come up. If you've not experienced the memorial, any of the memorials, you should go. I think we owe it to those officers. It's we're all connected to this profession, and the reality is any given time, could have been us on that wall, and it could have been our family there. And think of it that way, and you'd want your peers and people there to honor your family and the sacrifice you've made, and so we owe it to them to do the same.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks again. Thank you all for joining us on this latest episode of On the Job with PORAC with Juan Viramontes and Mark Nichols of the California Peace Officers Memorial. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, we'd like to close this podcast by thanking all our PORAC members and our nation's law enforcement. We hope you stay safe and have a great day.